Welcome back everybody to the 7 Days to Die Quick Tips Guide. This is basically the full 7 days guide with one little video, hopefully not spanning too long, giving you all the tips and tricks to start and survive your first 7 days in 7 Days to Die. Once you get a hang of it, then hopefully you can go from there and you can create yourself whatever you want to do and take it at your own leisurely pace, because you can go back to your original 7-day base and keep yourself alive and safe. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and see what we need to do to survive. So the first thing we want to be doing is completing the start quest. The start quest gives you 4 points to begin the game, which is really useful to have right at the start, because obviously you're going to have no points and no abilities to do anything, so it just gives you that little bit of boost and also introduces you to some of the basic things that you're going to be using. All the things you do start off with in these quests you can use. They are great to have, so don't overlook them, and while you completed them, make sure you have a scatter round of the biome that you're in and head on over to the trader when you can. So the reason why I mentioned the trader is, even though he doesn't give you any points to actually go to him, as it's your final quest and you've already gained the 4 points, he does sometimes have some great things like the workbench, which you can use, and also gives you quests and a place for you to sell items, make some money and buy things that you do need, such as food. So don't overlook him, check him out. He is, as I say, part of your quest, so he'll be highlighted on the map so you can find him nice and easy. So make sure you do that and get yourself set up nearby so you can visit him at any time. One of the things I will say is one of the quests you do want to do is the fetch supplies. This is one of the easiest trader missions to do, fairly simple for you to do at the start, and also gets you plenty of loot. The ways you do that is if you go into the area before starting the quest. Pro tip is if you clear it from loot and kill all the zombies and everything, and place it in a chest away from the building, completely away from the building on the land, possibly like 2 buildings away, so you've got somewhere you can go to fairly easy enough. And then you start the quest and it will reset everything for you, so you get all the loot again. It will reset everything completely, including the zombies, so be wary of that. Don't run in thinking it's cleared. It is not, it is completely reset. So day one's going to be coming to an end if you've done all that, especially if you've got a shorter day. I tend to go for the 90-day cycle if you haven't already done so. It's a little bit easier for you and allows you to learn the game a bit better and a bit more comfortable. However, saying you haven't, then what you want to be doing is finding yourself a building you can rest for the night. I tend to go for a building away from a full city or village, because the zombies do roam a lot more in them areas and you can attract a lot of attention. So find yourself somewhere you can bunker down and spend a night. Make sure your bed's down in case something does happen. You can respawn there at a later stage, and obviously clear all your your inventory of anything and get yourself set up ready for day 2. Day 1 you can't really do much unless you want to do it in your backpack. I won't do too much inside the house because the noise will travel and will mean that the zombies will come for you, and then you're going to have a lot of problems because they run faster and are stronger at night. So with that done, you need to be moving on to day 2 and into better things. So now that day 2 has arrived, you want to be thinking about what you want to be doing for the remaining 6 days and continue killing zombies. Zombies are the best loot, and if you've got yourself a bow and arrow, which you should do from doing your quests, then just keep building the arrows and attacking them from the range. The bow and arrow is the better earlier weapon because it doesn't use any of your stamina. When you use ranged weapons, if you're aiming, the stamina goes down, and obviously when you use melee weapons, your stamina goes down as well. The best way of killing enemies is doing what I'm doing here and basically just keeping them at range. If you start getting low on your stamina, then start going back to your bow and arrow. Obviously it takes a lot more to kill them with bow and arrow than it does by hitting them, but you're a lot safer. Keep kiting them, which is this kind of way of where you're keeping yourself in view of them, making sure there's nothing around you and keeping them away from arm's length. If you're playing on your own server, that shouldn't be a problem. If you're playing with another player, then I will just make out a little point that if they are the host, you could be lagging behind slightly, so just be wary of that and make sure you aim and time it properly. Another thing you want to keep doing is keep taking down these buildings and getting as much loot as you can. Not only will it give you things that you need and also experience points from things that you gather and killing zombies, you need things to cook with and make food with. One of the things is a cooking pot, the other is the grill. These are very important, and the only way you're going to find them is in the kitchens in the houses, or if you're lucky, in little boxes around. But it is usually found in these houses, so make sure you do go in them because you're going to need them to survive. Another very important thing you need to do as you're going around is looting the bird's nest. Not only do they have the feathers for your bow and arrows, they are also full of eggs, which are great to have for food. Not only are they good for you to just boil when you do get a cooking pot, but you can also use them to make bacon and eggs, which is a lot better than just eggs or just the meat. This will help you with your health and also will help you kind of survive and keep your expensive resources down. The less you have of your meat and stuff like that is better for you because it means you're going to survive for longer. Another thing as well, if you start getting hit when you're in these houses, make sure you just back away, don't panic, just get yourself in a bit of a range and then get back into it. Remember the golden rule of keeping them at arm's length to you, not to them. Next thing you want to be keeping an eye out is these little crates, the shotgun messiahs and stuff like that, the Shamway Express, and you just want to break them down. They're in like a little outside box, break them down to the inner box and then stop. Don't destroy them completely. Certainly don't destroy them once you've looted them as well, because whatever you set it to, usually the 30-day mark, they will respawn their loot and you can go back and gather it all from it again. And just another point while we're inside the houses, make sure you check everywhere in the house. The zombies now do hide in little cupboards and stuff like that, so don't start looting and thinking you're safe and when you've not checked the full building. So make sure you clear everything and then loot away. Remember, any loot you do gather will start to encumber you because there's so much to loot, so make sure you do regular trips back to your base. So on to the topic of building a base. If you have decided to build a base for the 7th night, then I do advise against it. However, it can be done, and the way I tend to do it is a 3x3, 3 in the terms of 3 walls and 3 up. So you got 3 walls, 3 floors. The reason why I do that is because the 3rd floor you can funnel them up to and they stop and you can just shoot down from there. If you don't do it, if you only do 2 floors, then they all congregate underneath on the bottom floor and you struggle to kind of get to kill them, so you're losing a lot of experience points there, and sometimes they can break through and take the entire building down from around you. So make sure you also build substantially wider as well. The more walls you have to try and take down, the less likely it is the building's going to collapse on you. Physics works in this game, remember that. Remember, the zombies will take the quickest route possible, so if you've got kind of ground underneath you rather than a floor, then they will just dig underneath and get into your base, which is not good at all. So the next thing you want to be doing is building yourself a bit of a rampart and ditch, because this will slow them down, and also if you fill it full of spikes, then you've got a good chance of surviving and taking a lot of the zombies down with you, so you don't have to kill them. But bear in mind, the more they die on spikes and the more you kill them that way, the less you're going to have to gain XP from, but then obviously less of them to take your building down before they even reach it. Depending on how long your day-night cycle is will depend on whether you do it out of wood like this or whether you just do it out of dirt and then shove some spikes in there. It all depends on how you've set it and whether or not you're doing well. The main thing you want to be working on is the building itself. Make sure you've got at least 2 floors done and then start working on things like this. Another little pro tip as well is if you actually dig underground, right underneath your base, and kind of put walls around it, you can put your storage in there and they won't actually damage your storage and all your stuff will be nice and safe. Sometimes they do have a nasty habit of breaking things like that, and obviously after a while things despawn and then you're stuck without all your loot. So just bear that in mind. They don't often do it, but it has been known. There's a few other little things you can do to make things a little easier for you, such as putting bars on the floor so you can shoot through them and stuff like that. There's plenty to do in this game that you'll find along the way. Experiment a little bit. Just remember, as long as you put down the basics and test it on a non-Horde night, then you can then move it in for the actual main Horde night and hopefully it'll sustain itself. Bearing in mind that the longer you play the game out, the longer it takes you to do things, the stronger the zombies get. So you're always going to have to adapt things. This works for probably at least the first 4 Horde nights. You should be okay and safe. I've done it to that, and there will be an episode out where I will test it with 64 zombies, so you can see it will hold itself. It's just based on how well you design it and whether or not you keep upgrading it as you're going along. Remember, as you're starting to loot things, you're starting to find yourself with things like high-powered rifles and automatic weapons, so again, they're going to make it a lot easier for you, but you're going to want to be using these kind of things when you've got yourself plenty of ammo and you've set yourself up with forges and stuff like that. You want to be doing things like that and killing the zombies and getting all that XP. Killing them on spikes is great, it reduces their numbers, but that's all XP lost to me, so bear that in mind. Also, bear in mind as well, the idea of the game is to kill them and survive at the same time, so you want to kind of juggle the two together. You want to find yourself a nice happy medium. So I want to keep this guide short and sweet and give you some of the basic things that you can do. I don't want to go on too much into detail about everything because the main guide itself goes into a lot more detail if you do need to know it. I'll put some links in the description so you can check them out, and there will be, if not already done, a horde based test which will be 64 zombies testing this build you see here. Remember, the 3 things you want to be doing with this is making sure it is built underneath you, you've got your elevation, and you've got your doors in place, because if you forget them 3 things, then everything else you've done is absolutely pointless. You don't have to put yourself a roof on, but I suggest you put a roof on as well, because there's now the vultures which do attack you on the Horde Night, and they can be a little bit annoying. They don't do too much damage, but if you're already low health, then they could just pick you off easy enough. So hopefully all of these things will help you along the way. Remember, you want to be gathering resources as much as you can during these 7 days, but don't do it too much where you end up with no base at all to do. Remember also that if you place down the kind of wood frames and then build around the wood frames, and you forget to upgrade the ones that are covered up, there will be a wood frame between the two, and obviously if they break through the one wall, they just tap the wood frame and it goes down. So make sure everything is upgraded nicely and you got your stuff safely underground. So with that being said, hopefully you will survive the first 7 days. If you follow these steps, you will have a greater chance of surviving. And if you want to place any comments or anything like that below, if you have any questions whatsoever, make sure you do so, and I will get back to you. If there's anything that I can clear, or any ideas you've got or anything like that, then fire away. Until next time everybody, take care for now, and I hope you've enjoyed this guide. See you later.